Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Mr. Parker. We're going to do a little slideshow here on Social Filter. Goes something like this, guys. What is a filter? A filter is a tool that blocks or stops unwanted things from passing from one spot to another. So in this example, a social filter is stopping things from going from a thinking bubble into another spot, a talking bubble. This illustration here is a great example of how an air filter might work, where there's germs and dust and just different things that are floating around through the air. It goes through the air filter. All this junk gets stuck in the filter, and the only thing that comes out is clean air. Lots of different things have filter. There's some illustrations here that'll help. A coffee maker has a filter. Engines have filters. Lots of different types of filters and engines. This is an example of an oil filter. There's air filters. There's fuel filters. Any type of filter in an engine is going to make it so unwanted things get stopped from moving from one spot into the next. An email actually has a filter where the filter of the email will take your good emails that you're getting and put them in your inbox, and all the spam and junk emails will get filtered out. And the other thing that has a filter is your brain. A social filter is a tool that stops mean, hurtful, or rude words from moving from our thinking bubble into our speaking bubble. This is a great illustration of that. You're going to have your thoughts. If you give yourself time, you will put your thinking bubble thoughts through the social filter. It will take out all the mean, hurtful, or rude words that you might be thinking. So the only thing that comes out of your talking bubble are things that would be expected for you to say. Don't put your foot in your mouth. A social filter is a great tool for helping you avoid putting your foot in your mouth. And in case you're wondering what that means, putting your foot in your mouth means saying something you wish you had not said. It happens to all of us, guys. Should I think it or should I say it? And this is a really important part. Social filters are easy to think about. They're easy to explain, but at times they can be very, very difficult to actually use. Here's a few steps you can use to help make sure you're using your social filter. The first thing is take a breath. Taking a breath will take a second. And if you can just not say anything sometimes for a couple seconds, it will help you to not put your foot in your mouth. Just simply by taking a breath, it'll slow you down just enough. 3 questions to ask yourself. Is what I'm going to say helpful or hurtful? Another question is, would I like it if someone said this to me? Put yourself in someone else's shoes, right? And the last question is, how would it make the other person feel? It's important that we consider the other person's perspective before we start talking. Social filter will help with that. Remember, guys, that your body language sends a very strong message too. So make sure that your body language matches what you are saying. Like, if you were really bored by what the person was saying, but you wanted to use your social filter because you're being considerate of the other person, you might want to make sure that your body language looks like you're interested while you say something like, oh, that sounds interesting. Although if you didn't use the social filter, you might say something like, dude, this is boring, be quiet. But social filter comes along, you're going to change your body language, and you're going to make sure that the words that come out of your mouth are helpful or kind, like, oh, cool, something like that. What you say is part of how people form their impressions of you. Based off what you say, if you fail to use the social filter and you use hurtful, mean, or rude words, people are going to have this. They're going to have a negative impression of you. However, if you get good at using a social filter, people are going to have positive, good impressions about you. This is something that's really important, guys. You can't take words back after you say them out loud. So use your social filter. Social filter, it's hard to use when you're angry. But that's the most important time to remember your social filters. When you're having a negative type of emotion, you want to be really mindful of trying to use your social filter because, like we said right away there, once you say something, you can't take words back. All you can do is apologize and hope that that person accepts your apology. But it's not like the person's going to just magically forget that you said a mean, hurtful, or rude thing to them. They're going to remember that, and it's going to change their overall impression of you. You can apologize and it can help, but it's not going to take away the mistake that you made by not using a social filter. Little game we're going to play. So this is something that you're going to pause and maybe submit the answers to me, okay? Jimmy gives you some cookies he made at home. You take a bite and they taste like old socks. You can tell that Jimmy is really proud of the cookies he made. What might you say if you don't use your social filter? What might you say if you do use your social filter? Next question. Sarah's been jamming out to music during study hall and really seems to be enjoying herself. She asks you to take a listen to the music. You put the headphones on and, well, to you, it sounds like cats fighting in the alley. What might you say if you don't use a social filter? What might you say if you do use a social filter? Next question. Dan comes back to school after Christmas break with a new outfit. You can tell Dan really likes the new clothes. You think they, look, not so nice. What might you say if you don't use a social filter? What might you say if you do use a social filter? Last question. Tim comes up into the hallway complaining to you about what a bad teacher Mr. Jasper is. You and Mr. Jasper have been friends for many years. I mean, after all, he is your next door neighbor. It makes you feel angry to hear Tim slamming your teacher and friend. What might you say if you don't use a social filter? And what might you say if you do use a social filter? Now, guys, social filter is something that's really, really important. And it's something that we're going to ask you guys to get better at using.